Not praising the praiseworthy keeps people uncompetitive. Not prizing rare treasures keeps people from stealing. Not looking at the desirable keeps the mind quiet. So the wise soul governing people would empty their minds, fill their bellies, weaken their wishes, and strengthen their bones. Keep people unknowing, unwanting. Keep the ones who do know from doing anything. When you do not doing, nothing's out of order. I don't agree with this teaching 100%, but I do agree with the concept of what is said. I do agree with not looking at the desirable keeps the mind quiet. I do think that things like stealing are a little bit more complicated than this text boils them down to be. My not making something a treasure does not hinder someone's desperation. So we can only do so much in that regard. I do think it's very important to understand, though, that there is almost a way that you can compassionately defend against those who are desperate. Extending compassion and lowering your value on the things that you have are part of that. I read this because it reminds me of soft skills. I don't like that term, of crisis intervention in self-defense. In sitting with this, my call to action to all martial arts instructors is simple. So the wise soul governing people would empty their minds, fill their bellies, weaken their wishes, and strengthen their bones. All of my fellow martial arts instructors, empty your mind. Make sure you stay as a student. Make sure you stay learning and growing, because if you don't, your students can't. Fill your bellies. The Hakakura says that samurais' bellies should be 1/3 full of drink, 1/3 full of food, and 1/3 full of conversation at all times. Is your belly overstuffed with drinking? Is your belly overstuffed from food? There's not enough room for conversation. There's not enough room for hydration. Make sure it's proper. Weaken their wishes, instructors. Don't get that new white belt and have ambitions for them to be your next black belt. Accept them as the white belt that they are. Train them for what they are and what they need, and let them land where they need to and where they choose to, not your perspective of them as students. Strengthen your bones. Sharpen your technique. Be a student that continues to find your own weaknesses and eliminate them. This is a great conversation with Jeremy. I have no notes other than maybe there are a couple of people that have renewed my faith in Taekwondo, and that my original understanding of Americanized Taekwondo, although it's flashy and very technically sound, is exactly, it's not for me, not my cup of tea. It will not quench my thirst. That does not mean that it can't quench thirst, just not this thirst. I hope y'all enjoy my little conversation with Jeremy. Thank you for listening. Keep kicking.
Keep kicking, never quitting. Focus sharp like a blade that's hitting. From white belt dreams to the master flow, Paul Coffey's got the mic, now the stories grow. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Old school, new school, all styles blend. From the mat to the mic, where the arts ascend. Philosophy deep, but the vibe stays tight. Martial minds meeting in the podcast light. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Keep Kicking Martial Arts Podcast, where I have martial conversations with my martial arts friends. Today, I sit down with Jeremy. Jeremy, you want to introduce yourself for the people?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. I'm Senior Master Jeremy Selch. Happy to be a part of the program today, and hopefully I can possibly share some words of wisdom for y'all.
Wonderful. Jeremy, the first question that everybody gets asked, how did you get started in martial arts?
So my stepdad, guy who raised me, he's an 8th degree. He had his own schools. So as a kid growing up, my brother and my sisters were already in class. I think he honestly got tired of me sitting at his desk coloring. And at one point, I was about just before I turned 4, was like looking at me and he's like, dude, let's get you into a uniform, get you out on the floor. I was like, okay, cool.
So you've been doing it for a long time then. You started at 4?
Yeah, started right before I turned 4, so 83, 84-ish, right around there. I'm now starting 46, so yeah, been at it for a long time.
Okay, right on. You've got about 10 years of martial arts practice on me.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Tell us, what was that first style, and what did that martial arts journey kind of look like?
Oh my! So I still do it to this day. Still training in traditional Taekwondo. In fact, most people that see me, they're like, "Do you do like Shotokan? Do you do karate?" Because my dad's lineage really goes right back to the founding of the Samukwan, which is the oldest Kwan or school of Taekwondo, under Byung-Jik-ro. He actually trained under him, doing his testings and such. But his main instructor teacher was Grandmaster Sun Do-chung out of the Seattle, Washington area, who came over directly from the Samukwan. It was like what I call blood and guts karate, and I even think it's more karate than it is Taekwondo today. Like if you were to look at what I do versus what Taekwondo is, night and day. I mean, it's very different. So still sticking with it after all these years. A couple years ago, went out and tested before Byung-Jik-ro's son, Hee Sang-ro, who's now the head of the World Samukwan Association. He took over after his dad's passing. Got to test under him. And keep that lineage alive, and that's the whole plan, man. Keep it going forward.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a great honor. What has kept you going in martial art?
Probably a little bit of ego.
Okay.
What it's going to come down to is like I saw my stepdad do martial arts, and the guy was just phenomenal, like the greatest martial artist I ever saw. And if you
Sure.
ever saw this guy on the street, you would never guess this guy could do anything, like at all.
Right.
And but just we stepped on the floor, he had a presence, he had just charisma with all the students, but just almost borderline scary. Like when he was in uniform and he was out there, it looked like he's gonna rip out of his uniform throwing a kick. Like that's how much
Nice.
power and stuff. But it was just awe-inspiring, and I vowed,
Mm-hmm.
as a little kid, I vowed I'm gonna be better than him someday,
Right.
honestly. And
It's
so,
still working.
yeah, I don't think I'll get there. I'll be honest, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying, and I'll still continue to try. That man
Mm-hmm.
was just phenomenal. Set the example for all of us. He was out on the floor every night, keeping us going.
Mm-hmm.
Never asked you to do anything that he couldn't demonstrate and do first, and then he pressure tested the hell out of all of us. I mean, it was blood and guts. There was blood on the floor every night. Back in
Mm-hmm.
the 80s and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, it was brutal growing
Mm-hmm.
up. Full contact, no pads. What's a time limit? Like screw that. It was, oh, you're fighting a 2-on-1. You look like you're doing all right. Here, jump up there and get in there with him, kick his butt.
Right. Right. He needs 3. He needs 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, that's what it was. I remember throwing up in the corner, and like people were still trying to punch and kick me, and I'm like, a freshly minted black belt, teenager, and I'm getting my butt handed to me, but he's
Right.
like, you look like you're doing all right. Let's throw another one in there.
Right. Right. Do you think he was harder on you because you were the stepson?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think between like me, my brother, and my sisters, we all were training.
Mm-hmm.
And my sisters dropped out just before they hit black belt. My brother stuck with it, trained until he just found work, found life. But he also was one that I really strive to like chase, as far as rank
Mm-hmm.
and getting up there with him.
Right.
I would say more ability than anything else, just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a guy that like had a presence on the floor that was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, he definitely used us as the examples in class if need be.
Right.
Yeah, you could
Right.
be doing the best you could, but man, I'll tell you what, if there was something to send out to the kids in class, he was like, Jeremy, Josh, come here. And it was, he was all about it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you think the average martial arts practitioner neglects in their practice?
Realism. I mean, honestly, and I can really only speak to like Taekwondo today. Like, and I go and check out other schools and stuff, and I see karate schools, and I've understood enough that I can kind of watch and understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But the realism, like, it's lost. It's lost on so many, and not just the students. There's a generational gap where, the instructors got soft. And I get it. Parents don't want to see their kids get beat up in class. That was a different mindset back then. But there has to be a level of realism and pressure testing of your ability. My dad wasn't about competition. Like, we competed at the Junior Olympics, state nationals, all that kind of crap. But he was like, listen, my job today is to make sure that when you step outside those doors of the school, if something happens, you can defend yourself or you can protect others. Bar none, that's what you're going to do. And so he made it a point. Like, I mean, it was go, 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 train, 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 fight, fight, fight. Forms were like a secondary thing. Yeah, we had to learn them. But it was like his focus every night. We fought every single night. And he had 3 schools that we went to weekly, and it was just brutal.
I think that in martial arts, the generational gap, what is missing most is the pressure testing.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. That does lead pretty seamlessly into the main conversation. There's 2 omissions that come with this. The first omission is I am selfish. And this podcast, in part, was just a way for me to have a think tank and start asking other martial artists about questions that I'm working through in my own martial journey. I don't consider myself, I always say I'm not a very good martial arts teacher. I'm the best damn student you can have in class with you. Because that's what I like to do. I like to tear things apart and rebuild them together with my students. I'm not a do this, do that. No. So the omission is, as a lifelong practitioner of martial arts, I realize that I am both equal parts sadistic and masochistic. And so I accept that.
Yeah.
But the question is, how do we teach nonviolent people to be violent when they need to?
That's a hard one. I'm actually, as crazy as it sounds, I'm going through that with my grandson.
Okay.
He is the sweetest kid in the world. Very naturally gifted. Like, he plays sports, all kinds of stuff. I've taught him martial arts here and there, but never really have hunkered down on him and like made him the focal point on it. And with everything else he's got going on, I get it. but he's had a few run-ins with other kids, and he is just a gentle kid. Like, it's just not in that nature. But I mean, I've told him, like, you need to have the mindset that it's better to have these skills and not need them. And
Right.
you know, if you don't ever use it, good on you. It means you didn't put yourself in dumb positions. You made right choices. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but better to be able to do these things. And it's not about beating someone up. You know, and I tell them that all the time. It's about defending yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have that aggressive nature in you. I don't want you to go out there and beat up other people. That's not what it's about, you know. And I heard all the time from my friends and stuff, man, if I had your skills, things I'd be out there doing. No, you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. It's just not what we are taught. It's not how it is.
Sure.
And try to explain that to them as like a foreign concept or another language.
Mm-hmm.
They look at me like, what? It's like,
Right.
but seriously, like for kids who are, or even adults who are just gentle in nature, I tell them it's not about hurting other people. That's about what martial arts is. You need to be able to defend yourself and protect yourself. There's tons of ways to do that without even throwing a punch. Like I tell them all the time, when I was, I think like 8 or 9, I was at a tournament and I was done competing. So I'm over there watching all the other rings and stuff. And there was this traditionalist. I'm assuming this was an open tournament. To me, he looked like maybe, you know, Goju-Ryu or something, but very powerful, but he was getting scored on left and right. And then I just saw him like kind of shake his head, step back in there. And this guy went to throw like a low, like roundhouse to the stomach. He like just slid back and threw a low block and it broke the guy's shin. Like I was like, whoa. So they called the match, but it was one, like it just opened my mind. This guy threw a defensive technique that just stopped the whole fight. Like, I don't even know if you won. Like, maybe you got disqualified. But
he won, you know, like that's a win.
He walked out there winning. We know that. But yeah, it was crazy. Like, it opened my mind to the concept of defense. And you know, when I was younger, I was gusto. I was kick, a punch, go. You didn't have to do that. Like, and so, anyways, back to the question. You know, that's how I try to explain it to people. Like, you don't have to be offensive. You can be defensive, and you can still defend to the point that you can lay a little injury in them to where they second guess themselves and don't want to fight anymore. So,
sure. No, that's a great response. It does remind me of the old Japanese adage that it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener on a battlefield.
Yeah, I just literally said that to my grandson the other day, and he was like, his eyes kind of go, whoop.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because I recorded the last podcast that I recorded. I asked somebody that question, and he profoundly said, "You cannot expect someone's violence level to be the same as yours." That's the first thing, you know. And like, I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess. You know, and us expecting everybody to be violent is not the answer, but expecting people to be able to use violence as a language if needed, I think that's okay.
Just a little show of force, like that's sometimes all it takes.
Yeah. Hopefully your grandson can learn the ability to stand his ground when needed, at least.
He's getting there. Like he was jazzed after I taught him some things, and he was like, oh, okay. And I told him, I said, now again, I don't want to get a call from my daughter, your mom, saying, guess what he did?
Right.
Like, I want you to defend yourself, and only if the necessity arises. Like, nothing where he's like, I got it, Grandpa, no problem. So,
how old is he?
I think he's turning, gosh, what is it? He's going to be turning 10.
Okay.
Like, just crazy.
my son, when he was in preschool, I'm 6'5", so my son takes after me and is usually taller of the kids his age.
Right.
He was at his daycare, and I got a call because he took a jacket from another kid. And so I come there and I'm like, what's the problem? And he's like, he had a jacket that was exactly like my jacket. And it, it's just a generic jacket you get at the store. Him and the kid had the same jacket. He thought that kid was taking his jacket.
Yeah.
So I said in front of all the people at the daycare, I'm like, next time you got to make sure it's your jacket, And they're like, no, we don't want that. Don't promote him to do these things. And I was like, well, if somebody's taking his stuff, I want him to be able to defend himself. I want him to be able to, stand up for what's his. And they didn't like that. But that was the lesson that he learned in that capacity.
Yeah. Double check first, then go after.
Yeah. Double check first. Then if it is yours, get it. So How has martial arts made you a better father and grandfather?
Oh gosh. I would think that I could say like patience and all that, is jumped in. No, nothing prepares you for parenthood at all. And
For
I'm
sure.
living the life of the grandparent thing because it's like I get to feed these kids sugar and send them on back. Like I really do. My wife and I, we love our grandkids. We spoil them. So when they come over, it's like, what do you guys want to get into? What do we want to do today? And then I just send them off back to mom.
Yeah, then you're like, we have an hour. We got to get ice cream in your stat.
Right. Yeah. I need ice cream. No, I would say like honestly, I taught my two olders that like martial arts was going to be a part of their life, and I think at the mindset and the time that I was growing up, still myself as a young parent, was still trying to like find my way as a martial artist, instructor, master, eventually that kind of stuff. And so I still had that mindset of like very disciplined, very harsh, So their training was a little bit more brutal than my current 17-year-old who lives at home.
Okay.
But it's like, obviously as we grow, we adapt, we change. I will say though, like the martial arts side of things maybe taught me, since you have to learn to adapt to each student, right? Every student's different. Everyone learns different. You can't just teach the same subject over and over again. You have to break it down and read your people. I think learning that and how to apply that to my kids, like one maybe, I could tell them verbally, like, hey, go do this, and they do it, no problems. The other one I may have to demonstrate and show them a couple times, and they got it. And then there's one that I'm just like, I got to push them down the road and go get that done. But I think that those things, taught me as an instructor to break down things for students differently and be able to read my audience a little bit better. And I've been able to do that with my kids. And then the grandkids, man, I just let them run wild.
It's the lawless land, the grandkids.
I'm not supposed to do anything more than show up with candy in my pockets and say, here you go. And
right. Wonderful. Tell us how teaching has affected your personal martial arts application.
It's crazy. So I never wanted to teach. I just
really.
Oh yeah. I
really?
got in there. I would say up until I was a teenager. I mean, I started at like 3 or 4 years old, and I trained, and I wanted to do nothing more than just be the best fighter in the school. Honestly,
yeah,
that's what I wanted to do. And my
dad that comes as a surprise to me because you looked up to your stepfather who was a teacher.
He was.
That's
interesting. He was phenomenal, but I mean, I was so fixated on the physical side of things.
Yeah, okay.
So at like 12, I think my dad was like, he's gonna have me start teaching like the beginner's class, right? So I started doing that, and I realized how hard it was to actually verbally and physically move and get people to follow you, and to be able to replicate what you would think is so simple to do because you've been doing it like walking, like so. It had to make me reevaluate like my brain, my mindset, like how am I going to break it down? Because it seemed like my dad was able to teach the same thing over and over again, no problems, and everyone did it. Like they got it. No, that's not how to. That comes with years of experience down the line.
Yes.
Gosh, I found a point where I think I started really dissecting like forms, and I was getting ready to test for like my 4th degree, things like that. And my stepdad gave me like the information, but was a little bit more on the side of like, okay, let's see what you can do on your own. Let's see where you grow from and what you can do. And, I could ask him questions. He would guide me. But at that point, it was on me to make any movement forward with my ability that I really wanted to seek out and do. And so I started pushing, but to do that, I had to dissect what I was doing myself. I had to reteach myself a lot of things. And I really took it from a mindset of, okay, I'm going to go back to like the white belt mentality. Let's just start from scratch and redo this, reevaluate every movement I make, breath control, just everything that you're doing. And then I saw that started playing into how I was teaching too. And it really did pay off that by evaluating myself, I was able to become a stronger martial artist, gain a stronger understanding of the movements, the techniques, the reasons why we do it. A lot of people just teach movement. They don't teach the reasons why or the adaptations of those and the expansion of these simple techniques. And so I was learning how to do that for myself, but in turn, I was still teaching classes. And I think I started showing through just as a secondary nature thing for my students. And now it's just a part of how I teach.
Sure.
I'm physical. when I'm doing forms with my students and they're doing a low block to the left and a step forward punch, I'm right there attacking them from that side. I'm stepping forward, punching at them, and they're moving and blocking the count and coming forward. And I run to the other side, like I'm all over. I look like I probably should have taken some ADHD medication, but it's getting the job done. You know.
Well, we all need that.
Like, but it's how I teach now. It's very you got to be hands on. You got to be interactive with the students. Martial arts is not something you can just teach by verbalizing or teach by sight. It is a hands on process, and being a part of that makes them fully aware of what they're doing. I think than just mimicking a movement. So,
did you get that from your stepfather? Is that how he taught forms, or is okay?
He literally would show you the movements, go through it, and then it was about repetition. He make you practice it. It's mandatory. Like
he's traditionalist then.
Yeah, like it was on us. Once he taught us the movements and we understood the applications of it and the movements and stuff, it was on us to train it and pursue it. And so, like on a weekly night, if we were going to do forms, you maybe got 15, 20 minutes to work on your forms. And he expected, honestly, you should be able to go through your form at least 10, 15 times if you're taking it serious. You got the space on the floor, get going. And so, and he would move around from group to group and stuff. Or he actually, like when had extra black belts on the floor, we were also out there teaching. And then after class, he always kept the black belts for an advanced practice, at least 30 minutes. And that's when we got our chance to train with him a little bit more direct one-on-one. And he may jump in there and throw the kick at you that you need to defend against. Just so you see the physical of the application side of it. But like I'm running around my students like a crazy person, especially the young ones. Like I'm on my knees down there punching at them, and they're doing their thing. But I just found that that's how I work. That's a Jeremy kind of thing.
No, that's great. Where do you think how did you happen upon that, you think?
I think I remember there was a couple students I had to be very hands-on and manipulative, move the feet, that kind of stuff. And I think if I remember right, there was one kid, he's a young green belt, and some days he'd show up to class kind of wired. Other days he was very lackadaisical, like just almost like, wake up, buddy. And so I remember I was throwing, just a punch midsection. I think he was doing an inside block or something. And I caught him on the shoulder, just a tap. And he was like, oh, and I was like, well, if you had blocked, nothing would happen. Yeah. He kind of looked at me like, this isn't just a movement. This is something that I was like, what have I been doing? So I said, okay, let's do this. I'm going to time it 1, 2, 3. I'm going to throw the punch. I want you to knock my arm away. Like actually hit me, knock my arm away. It's not just putting your arm in front of my arm, make contact. And so he loved that. This kid, like as soon as he saw that he could beat up on me a little bit while we were doing forms, sky's the limit. This kid would just go after me. So, but I saw that interaction, especially with him, made a difference in how he trained, and it didn't just apply to that. It applied to the fighting techniques, the actual fighting itself, just everything. And so I started doing that, being a little bit more hands-on, like with my students, especially in the early stages of them learning a new form or whatever, or a new technique.
Absolutely.
And that. Why not just teach them off the bat? If I'm throwing a straight kick at your midsection, you're moving back and low blocking, what's your counter? And I'd have them attack me and make a little contact on me, and they loved it. Oh, I get to punch Jeremy?
Get to punch the guy that makes me do push-ups?
I kicked his butt last night. Begging for mercy.
That's really. I am personally of the opinion that we shouldn't teach traditionally. I do understand why it exists, but I do think that it's better. Like, let's divulge the stuff. And I came to it from a standpoint of I had this form that had a punch over to the wall, and I was like, "What am I just assuming that I punched that dude so hard that I never had to address him anymore beyond this one punch? I have to get this guy 15 times, but that guy one punch was done."
Yeah, I'm back and forth punching 3 times at this guy, and
second degree black belt test, and my master looks at me and she goes, "That's a POC," and I was like, "What?"
That's fantastic.
So like I was like, fuck's sake, it is. And then from there, it's like, why are we not telling people this? Because if we told them, then what they get to discover is the next layer.
Yeah.
And so for me, it seems like we really develop the art. If I lay all of the knowledge, everything that I have about a technique out, then when a student comes and dissects all of that, they're going to learn more. from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Very true.
So, and then they can teach me something, which
Yeah.
is
There you
what I
go.
want. That's what I want. I want to learn more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
So
yeah.
have you done any cross training at all? Have you trained anything other than
So
Taekwondo, or have you stayed
Taekwondo and
there?
Hapkido. So my
Hmm.
stepdad did teach Hapkido as well. He almost
Awesome.
taught it not in a rank system, but he taught it secondary to the Taekwondo, more as Holsten Sul or self defense. So
Okay.
more like close quarters, honestly.
Hmm.
And he's former military, so he was very adamant about being very physical, especially the advanced
Hmm.
classes. Like
Hmm.
we got beat up, just pure and simple. I mean, it was brutal.
Hmm.
But when he applied a joint lock, yeah, he applied a joint lock. When he threw you, he didn't just throw you to the ground; he threw you to the ground. But he
Right.
told you flat out, like, here's the reason why. You know, it could take one throw against concrete, and the fight is done if you do it
Hmm.
right or do it with realism. You're not just
Hmm.
letting him fall over your hip. Essentially, you're throwing him
Hmm.
into the ground. And he's like,
Hmm.
and then you can go home. And he'll be the first to tell you, like, I'll pick up rocks and dirt and throw them at him and throw dirt in his eyes because there's nothing pretty about a real fight, and I want to go home to my
Right.
family. Pure and
Right.
simple. But to say, anyways, back to it. Yeah, I cross trained. So Taekwondo and Hapkido are my primaries. I've cross trained with some actual Shotokan gentlemen who were
Hmm.
amazed at my Taekwondo and how close it was to their Shotokan. And I actually
Hmm.
learned Shotokan katas as well. So the Samu Kwan used to teach Kong Sudo, so Korean karate, before
Hmm.
it switched over to the Taekwondo thing. And I'm talking the 1944 is when the Samu Kwan was established. So when Ro came over from Japan, he was teaching Shotokan. He learned from
Hmm.
Funakoshi. So anyways, I cross trained with some Shotokan guys that are just tripped out. They're like, "Holy moly, what is this? This isn't Taekwondo. It's not what I see in the Olympics." I'm like, "Don't even talk to me
Hmm.
about that." So
Hmm.
I've studied some jujitsu as well. Cross trained
Hmm.
in Japanese jujitsu. One of my seniors as a black belt, he grew up and went away to college and was looking for a martial art. He actually fell in with some guys that were teaching, I believe it's Shinsenka Ryu Jiu-Jitsu. And so he
Very
ends up
cool.
training all the way up to his like fourth degree, and then coming back during the summers and cross training with me and a couple other guys. And he's like, my Taekwondo went to hell. I need you to train me on that. And in turn, I'll teach you Jiu-Jitsu. I was like, cool. And then he just beat the crap out of me on the floor. Clifton was awesome,
Right.
but I mean, brutal. Like the first time really fully grappling, I
Hmm.
swear it was 4 hours straight of me trying to defend when it was probably like 15 minutes of a really easy randori for him. So
Right. Right. Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, just
My first experience with jujitsu was Helio Sagano, and I was in
mhm.
Florida, and I was 19 or 20. Young and full of enough dumbness that you're like,
Yeah.
he can't do that to me.
Oh yeah. And guess what?
Sagano lined 75 of us up
Oh jeez.
and submitted all 75 of us,
Holy moly.
one after the other. And then
Right.
he gets up and I remember, I will never forget it. He gets up and he goes, "You see this? I'm not even sweating. He's not even soaked. I could do it again if I needed to." And
Right.
I was like, okay, maybe there's something
Yeah.
to it.
I bet you could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He
Oh
can.
yeah. I know. It's so funny. Like when I'd have Clifton train with me, like I'd ask for it. Like, okay, show me how you did that again. Show
Sure.
me, and so I can understand. Also trying
Hmm.
to understand how I can counter it, but
Hmm.
literally just getting my butt handed to me left and right. Submitted all the time. My jujitsu
That
sucks.
that's one of the other things that I have noticed that I leave out of the emission. But
Mm-hmm.
most lifelong martial arts practitioners are hard headed, and we need a little bit
Oh
of
yeah.
pain to teach us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
So,
I hate to say it. I think I learned better through that
hmm.
scenario of okay, apply a little bit more pressure. Okay, stop. Like
Hmm.
but it
Hmm.
gives you the realism. It shows you where the point is too. Like when I'm teaching Hapkido with my advanced students, we apply pressure on each other. I mean, it hurts. You go home, you're hurting, but you also
Hmm.
need to know how far you go so you can control a person and not take it any further if you don't need to. And
Hmm.
so again, it goes back to that realism. You need to apply these things. And yeah, you're going to be bumped and bruised and hurt, but you could do that playing football. Like you could go home with broken
Sure.
bones playing football. You should apply the
Hmm.
same thing to martial arts. Now, granted, we are teaching a fighting art, and that's what chances are is going to happen on a more regular, but don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Embrace the
Hmm.
suck and just go with it.
Hmm. Absolutely. Um, the one question that you've been prepped for is do you have any advice for anybody that is not a martial artist that is watching this podcast and is thinking about martial arts after we've told them you're
Right.
going to be bruised, you're going
Yeah.
to be hurt?
I will honestly say for anyone who's looking to join, um, find a qualified school. Really do your research. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
fooled by
Mm-hmm.
the fancy tricking and all the jumps and the things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Have in mind, like, be honest with yourself. What are you looking to get out of it? Are you going to find a club that's going to teach you exercise? Cool. If that's your goal and you want to get fit, find that. If you're
Mm-hmm.
looking to truly change the way your mindset is for like self defense, and you got bullied or something like that, and you need to learn your way around that kind of stuff to defend yourself, find a legit school. And they are far and few. I hate to say nowadays, because
Mm-hmm.
at least with the Taekwondo world, what I see is a lot of these guys teaching Taekwondo, they're really teaching a sportified aspect of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
again, like even that generational side of it, I got instructors who I'm in my mid 40s. I got instructors out there that are younger than me and higher ranked than me. No biggie. But what they have been taught to believe is Taekwondo and as a martial art is really just a
Mm-hmm.
sport. And
Mm-hmm.
it drives me nuts when they're out there promoting it as such.
Mm-hmm.
When they pad up every night, they have time limits. They're teaching on scoring and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just be realistic about what your purpose is. If you got a kid who's like super active and wants to burn out that energy,
Mm-hmm.
maybe put them in the sport, because those guys, they do train. They train their butts off, and they train
Mm-hmm.
hard as hell when they are looking at competition side. They have to. I mean, they train
Mm-hmm.
for these things, and they give it their all. So I mean, other than that, empty your cup. Like dump out every
Oh, good.
ever saw. Drop every preconceived notion of what you're gonna get in. You're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
be standing in some ancient monastery.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna be reading from a scroll. Like
Right.
knock that crap out. I'm not teaching you ninjutsu. I'm not gonna throw a smoke bomb and disappear.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna train. We're gonna train. It's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
be as fun as you think it looks in the movies. So
Mm-hmm.
just be a little patient too, because the time will come
Mm-hmm.
where it clicks, and then you're gonna get passionate and hungry for it. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
want more.
I will also add to that a lot of students come in because you're the first person that said it's not going to be fun,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that what it is students come in with a preconceived idea of what kind of fun it's going to be.
Right.
It's not going to be the preconceived idea of fun.
Not
It's
even
a
close.
different kind of fun.
Yeah.
You're still going to have fun learning. It's just a different fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to
So,
form camaraderie with other students. You're going to have
mhm,
friends there that become like family to you. Are they going to beat you
mhm.
up like a brother would? Yeah, absolutely. But it
That's part of the
becomes,
point.
yeah, right. It becomes part of the fun. Like you got to get through
Hmm.
the first couple hurdles and the
Hmm.
first couple nights of just learning the basics, and then it starts getting to where it's something someday will click, and they're going to be like, I want more.
Hmm. Absolutely. If you could give every martial arts practitioner one thing, whether
Oh,
it be a concept, a thought, a philosophy, a technique, what would it be and why?
wow. One thing.
Hmm.
Wow. I'm not. I wouldn't say there's anything special. I don't have any hidden technique or
Yeah.
anything. And there's
No.
so many martial artists out there that are better than me that could probably take, if anything, if I threw something out there, they're going to be way better about explaining it or expanding. I'll say it
Hmm.
first and foremost. I will say that one thing we need to remember as a community of martial artists, like
Hmm.
to each other, be respectful. Don't assume. Don't look at someone online and go, wow, they're kicking the bag and they're not. The way you train is the way you fight. That kind of crap. You never know. Get in the ring with them. Step on the mat with them. Then you'll see.
Hmm.
Like, don't make
Hmm.
assumptions. I make it a habit. I don't post on anything
Hmm.
online or say anything to
Hmm.
anyone unless it's something that's dangerous. And if I know that you're throwing it out there and you're saying this is going to save your life, but it's going to probably get someone hurt, I probably will say something.
Hmm.
But I think the martial arts in the community nowadays with the social media thing has just gotten so watered down with people just thinking that they know better left and right. I get
I hadn't
critiqued
noticed. I hadn't
I
noticed
get critiqued by yellow belts and white belts and green belt. It's crazy, and I don't have like master in my title on my Facebook profile or anything. I don't. Like if you scroll through, you're gonna be like, this guy's doing martial arts left and right. Oh, there's his family. He's doing
Right.
martial arts again.
Right.
But it's
Right.
like
Right.
I get critiqued all the time, and it's so funny.
Mhm.
Then I'll have maybe a one-off
Mhm.
conversation, and they're like, "Well, what rank do you hold?" I have a 6th from one organization. I have a 7th from another, and they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh." And it's like, it's no big deal. I take it as, constructive criticism. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe they have something that they're seeing that is a concept from a beginner that I'm missing. Like, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Learn
Mm-hmm.
from any one day in time is what I'm saying. Like, be respectful, have an open mind. What we do, ultimately, we're not out there challenging each other for, death matches or anything
Right,
crazy.
right, right.
Just be respectful and be willing
Mm-hmm.
to learn. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
back in the day, my Taekwondo is better than this guy's karate or whatever. No, I'll tell you
Mm-hmm.
what, it's the fighter, pure and simple. It's the
Mm-hmm.
martial artist on the mat of the day. I could get submitted left and right. Where's my Taekwondo at? You just never know.
Right. Well, that was another thing about this podcast is I wanted long form conversation because a minute clip, you're going to have 4 million people
Right.
saying that will not work,
Right.
calling bullshit on it. And maybe that minute clip that somebody posted, they're trying to express a balance part of the technique, or maybe they're trying to show a shoulder rotation.
Yeah.
And you're missing what they're showing because of
I've literally
But
put it in there in the caption. I've said,
yes.
this is about blah blah, and then it's just
Right.
completely missed. I'm like,
Right.
did you not read the you just clicked on the video, didn't you?
I don't. People can't read. I don't think
Right.
anymore. Not that they can't. They just choose not to.
I'll put it in all caps, I guess.
Right. I think that. So I experienced that with martial arts, which is one of the reasons I don't do technique. I have martial arts brothers and sisters that are trying to convince me to do online stuff, and I'm like, but for me, I'm not interested in me and you being on the mat and me showing a technique and it being a minute long and then putting that out there. Yeah. I would be interested in making a video that's 45 minutes long and is on a thrust punch.
Yeah.
And it's 45 minutes about getting that right angle and doing the thing. That's who I am as a martial artist, which is very much different from, I'll sound old and say the kids these days, they only want to watch the minute long clips,
Right. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Like I put stuff out there, but it's nothing more than my hope is that it just maybe excites some people to get up and train. Like I go in you rarely see me in my gi at my school training. Like usually my free time is spent at home in the garage when I can train and kick and punch and beat up on Bob, the punching bag, the forging post. And so it's so funny. If you look, I have videos galore from when I'm in my basement at my old house that was unfinished. And people are like, are you ever going to finish that place? No. You see me training over here? That's all I care about.
It's fun. It's finished enough for the training. It's done.
Over my head and a high enough clearance I can jump kick. What more do I need?
Right.
But it's funny. Like my goal is just to put it out there to maybe invigorate my martial arts brothers and sisters. Maybe they'll see it while they're sitting on the couch and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go do my form a couple times. And that's it.
Because we should not sit on the couch.
Right.
There's a time and place for relaxation.
Yeah.
But
I like
we as
couch,
humans,
don't get me wrong, but some days the forging post is calling me.
Right. So I don't want to necessarily put it out there unless you're comfortable putting it out there, but I do want to ask you because we know that you have the surgery that you're rehabbing from, and then before we hit record, you talked about that you had blown your knee out, and so I always like to ask people that have experienced injuries.
Yeah,
I'll start with the profess. I was born with a birth defect. I had no cartilage connecting my breastplate to my ribs. My chest was caving in. I had to have surgery. When I started martial arts at 10, before I could start martial arts, my sweet little mother took me to the doctor and was like, is this okay? And the doctor was like, absolutely not. And I was like, it'll be fine. Let me do it anyway, and like begged and pleaded. And if it wasn't for my grandfather, who was also ex-military, who was a little bit more rough than my mother, who said, the boy will be just fine. Let him do it, I might not have been able to take martial arts. But I always ask people how martial arts has helped them rehab, helped improve those weaknesses. So how did it help with the blowed out knee?
So, it was crazy. So I was training in the garage, beating up on Bob for probably longer than I should. In fact, I think someone had messaged me as like, hey, can you put together a video on like reverse crescents? And, crescents. I was like, yeah, cool, no problem. You want all variations? Sure. Then it turned into just a training session that went really long.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like, I think I had, Bob set up. I was doing like hopping in, reverse crescents, smacking him in the face, and I was getting
Mm-hmm.
too tired. And I knew I should have probably stopped, probably 4 kicks
Mm-hmm.
before that. Jumped up, caught Bob a little too deep, came down on my foot, and my leg just buckled inward, and I just heard pop,
Mm-hmm.
blown ACL, that kind of stuff. But I would say
Mm-hmm.
that the fact that martial arts has kept me so healthy in such good shape that the rehab
Mm-hmm.
part of it, like as soon as they said you could go, I was like trying to run. Like I was going after it. Like I was coming home drenched, sweating. My wife's like, "You're going to PT. Why do you come home looking like you went to the gym for 4 hours?" I was at the PT is
You're like,
training me. I'm getting back
because
to
that's
it.
what I
She's
was
like,
doing.
I don't want a second surgery. Stop. So, and then with the back thing, like the injury itself, to have spinal fusion, it freaked me out. I was like, am I going to get back
Mm-hmm.
to being able to do stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And that's to be, remain to be seen. I'm accepting the fact that I probably will have to modify a lot of stuff as I get back into martial arts. I'm barely at the point now, almost 3 months outside of surgery, where they're like, you're going to start PT in the next couple of weeks. Let's go from there. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. See what I can do. And I know me, so I'm going to really have to put
Mm-hmm.
my foot down on myself and say, no, don't do that. And
Yeah.
so and they told me, the doctor was like, hey, it's going to be like a year-long process really before you're back to what we will consider you to be fully healed. Now that doesn't mean 100%, it means fully healed, like the fusion's taken, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we've hopefully given you enough exercises to keep you busy.
Mm-hmm.
So
A year from surgery or a year from starting PT?
Yeah. So
Okay.
July 25th. Yeah. So a year from surgery, they said, is like when you're fully healed from a fusion. The bones have set, all that kind of stuff. And thankfully, I only had a single level, so we'll go from there. And I know me, and I just got to really listen to the PT doctors and just do what they tell me and follow their leads.
Okay. Okay. Well, first of all, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that one of the best things that martial arts does for people is keep them mobile.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like the idea of not being mobile really probably scares me more than most anything else.
Yeah.
I joke and I say I'm afraid of growing old because I don't want to get immobile. I'm afraid of cancer because everybody's and Scientology because
there you go. Perfect. I'm gonna add that to my list now too.
Well, not to get off on a side tangent, but it is the only thing that has canceled an episode of South Park. Just throwing that out there.
True.
Scary.
Very true. And nothing should be able to cancel South Park. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They have taken swings at everybody, and that's the only thing.
And it's been funny. Everyone loves it.
Right. Right. So, do you find that I hyperextended my right knee in my first degree black belt test, and the adrenaline, I didn't realize it until later that night. I was like, God, that's really stiff and feels nasty. And then the next day I woke up and it was swollen. I used my martial technique as supplemental extra physical therapy, I guess, for lack of a better word. I mean, I was listening to the physical therapist, but also like just doing a kick and not pressing on. I'm not worried about how high this goes. I'm just worried about form. I can take my time. It doesn't have to snap. Do you think that like some of that is going to exist for you? Did it last time?
Absolutely. So when I blew out my knee and after I started PT and stuff, the guy that they put me up with PT, he was training all these like young high schoolers and college athletes. So I'd watch them train, and then I'd come on, and here's the old guy, and he's like talking about me. He's like, I gotta put this guy back together. But I was all about it, and I would actually run stuff by him. Here, I want to just use this for leg extension, essentially, doing a split kick. Not throwing it as in snapping it, but same thing. Pick it up, maintain the balance, retrain my body to have balance again, extend it out, hold it, pull it back to retain muscle in the leg, that kind of stuff. He's like, as long as you're not snapping your leg, I'm fully fine with that. And that just led into, like every day for PT, 9 times out of 10, I went down to the basement, pulled out Bob or the foraging post, whatever, and just like, tap it, just doing that roundhouse, pull it up and around, psychic, lift up, extend out. And it literally just got me back into like, I got to do this. I want to be able to kick again. I want to be able to do all this. And so that coupled with PT controlling my crazy of how fast I want to to go.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out great. I mean, I got back to
Mm-hmm.
where I would say I was 100% with my left knee. I would say
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably 98%, but that
That's
martial
great.
arts aspect
That's great.
completely helped. So,
That's great. You being 98% with your knee is
yeah,
better than some people your age that are not active. You know,
seriously. I mean,
like
it creaks, but that's about it. Other than that, it works
right.
and it's strong.
That's
So,
great. I
yeah,
mean, I consider martial arts to be the fountain of youth. Like I sit
yeah.
here, I'm 42. I don't look 42. I don't act 42. I don't get
You've
around
aged
like
better than I have. I mean,
42. Well, this I have to thank my grandfather for this. He died
yeah.
with a full head of hair, so hopefully I will maintain the same.
Well, some things martial arts can't help. So,
That's right. That's right. My dad, who is about like you, he says
yeah.
that some people have perfect heads, and then others have to have hair on them. So,
There you go. I'm gonna steal
so
that too if I have to. That's great.
uh, go go ahead. Feel free to steal that one. I also want to ask your opinion or perspective on
Mhm.
teaching. I want to know what you consider to be the largest barriers when teaching,
Mhm.
or barrier might not be the right word. Maybe obstacle is a better word. What is it that gives you pause even after all these years of teaching?
I can't say much gives me pause, like especially when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
the teaching aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: for having started teaching kids from like age, I think I was like
Mm-hmm.
12 when I was teaching full classes, but I was teaching
Yeah,
like
yeah.
young off the side, very young.
Mm-hmm.
Back to ego, my ego was
Mm-hmm.
pretty big. I was chasing, the biggest, baddest martial arts in the school all the time. Like every one of
Mm-hmm.
my dad's senior instructors, I was chasing those guys left and right, trying to be better, whatever. And it gave
Mm-hmm.
me the drive, but it didn't teach me how to be a good teacher. So I was trying to mimic, like I said, my stepdad could walk on the floor and had a presence, and then
Mm-hmm.
people would respond to that. Like there was no
Mm-hmm.
questions at all. Like he could just say something and people did it. You don't have that as a young
Right.
instructor. You
Right.
don't. You got to
Mm-hmm.
earn that, and that comes from
Mm-hmm.
working with your students. And every one of those
Mm-hmm.
students that were out there trusted my stepdad fully. They knew that he was,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say brutal, but brutal with his training. He pushed you beyond your
Right.
limit.
Right.
You
Right.
thought you were
Right.
going to
Right.
die, and then you didn't. You kept
Mm-hmm.
going.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but they trusted him because of that, and so that made him a good instructor. I think young instructors need to be watched carefully. They need to be, taught how to teach, not just left out there to like. You think it's so simple? Just we're going to throw back to straight kick, roundhouse kick, and just keep on going and teach you 10 times
Right.
on this side, 10 times on this side. That's not as easy as you think, And
Mm-hmm.
students have to know how to break it down. They know how to interact with the students. They need to learn to really read the room, see what's happening and watch and kind of control. I've seen classes go off the rails real fast, get
Mm-hmm.
swamped real fast because this kid's just trying to do the techniques and look the best he can while he's up there and not
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to the rest. Um, I would say that like I've now switched gears. The whole wanting to be the best fighter in the school, that's down the road. It's gone. Like I
Right. Right.
stumbled
Right.
over that hurdle and now I fell on my face a couple times. Now I'm beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Being the best instructor I can is probably my number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to. I really feel fortunate that I've got such a lineage. Like it went Byung-Juk Ro, Sondo
Mm-hmm.
Chung, my stepdad, me. Out of
Mm-hmm.
all the students, I'm primarily the only one who's still continuing the martial arts legacy of the Samo Kwan. And
That's even better.
yeah, and it's
You
crazy. I
know.
asked my dad one time, my stepdad, I said, did you ever change anything that you learned from Supreme Grandmaster Ro down through the lineage? Did you change any of the techniques? He said, no, there's no need to change anything that works. And so far, in his exorbitant amount of years, he had never found anything that didn't work. And so that gave me this sense of like, wow, we really are getting a time capsule back to the
Mm-hmm.
founding of like Taekwondo. Like
Mm-hmm.
Byung-Chul was considered the founder of modern Taekwondo because he had a hand in like forming all this stuff going down the road. But I would give my left arm to be able to go back in time and train with this man. Unfortunately, I got to be on the floor with his son, who again, just an
Mm-hmm.
amazing martial artist and a phenomenal teacher. And I was just honored to be there on the floor and test before him. Nervous as all hell, probably more nervous than I've ever been in my life, but
Right. Right.
I
Right.
succeeded and got there. But no, I mean, just gosh, being the best instructor I can means that I care about my students. They know
Mm-hmm.
that I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing anything mean to them. I'm going to push you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to push
Mm-hmm.
you. but I'm into it because it comes from a place of I want to see you succeed beyond your own comprehension of what your success is. You got so much more in you. We're going to get there together.
I want to circle back to ego because you've brought ego up multiple times.
2 times at least that I know.
Yeah, at least 2 times. And the thing that I want to circle back to on is, these are words that come up as an instructor, and I teach them to my students. I also teach my students that ego is necessary. It is part of the human condition, and it is not necessarily a bad thing. No, and I think the reason that I'm bringing it up with you specifically is because you have given examples of both bad and good ego. You know what I'm saying? Right. As we all have, but like the bad ego of I need to be the best fighter in this space.
Right.
Like that's definitely detrimental ego.
Yeah. And that could lead to a lot of punishment on my behalf.
For sure. A lot of pressure testing. Extra pressure testing.
Yeah.
But then the good ego of recognizing self, recognizing who you are, what you have to offer, the gratitude that you have for the lineage that you're a part of in some ways is ego in a positive way.
It is.
And it's just the reason, one of the reasons that I bring it up is because ego gets a bad rap, and it's not bad. It's just a tool and can be utilized. The other reason that I bring it up is because it is a thing that we need to use and we need to hone, right? Like martial arts is about making me the best I can be.
Right. And that in itself is part of ego. I mean, it really
Right. Like part of it is like also shaping the ego. And so I think that your story is interesting because your story involves directly the shaping of an ego.
Yeah.
Do you use that experience when you're teaching? Is there technique to help shape ego?
I am not one to ever shy away from my own failures. Like, honestly, most of the time my failures stem from my lack of knowledge and thinking ego's going to write that check. I mean,
I wish I could say I didn't understand. I wish, but
it's crazy. So I remember when I was teaching myself, I found a form that was no longer in use in our school. My stepdad had learned it from his master, and he had it handwritten stuff. And I was borrowing one of his books and reading through it, and I found it. I was like, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to teach it to myself, and I'm going to show him. So I decipher his hieroglyphs because he wrote like a doctor. So I'm trying to figure this out. I get it down. I think I'm pretty good. I show him before class, and he just stands there. He's like, okay, cool. So middle of class, he calls me up in front of everyone. Now, there's a time where you're just going through the movements, and I had just taught myself this over the weekend. Here it is Tuesday night for class, and he's like, guess what you're doing? So he pulled me up in front of everyone to have me demonstrate it, and I think I just butchered the hell out of it. Just shaky, horrible, in my mind.
Right.
And, he was like, that was good. He's like, you did a couple things wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if your writing was better. But it was again, one of those things I'm going to jump out there and show him what's up. And no, just don't do that.
Right.
But again, that will be something that I don't shy away from ever sharing with my students. And my hopes are learn from my mistakes. I've made plenty. God, I've made plenty. But learn from them. If you find yourself in that situation where you're like, I'm going to show master something, analyze it first, think about it before you do it, because I might pull you up in middle class.
Right. Do you still teach that form?
I do. Actually.
Did you ever?
So he used it as a probationary for young black belts, when they first
got that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
brilliant.
And it's original Koryu. And it's not the WTF's Koryo form that they do nowadays. It was created by the KTA, the Korean Taekwondo Association, back in I want to say the 50s, early 50s. Anyway, so he had learned it from his master and used it for probationary black belts. You kind of have a probation period where he could be like, physically you're there, mentally you're not. Let's take you back down a step. And he did that. He demoted people if they were not there. You can show physicality all you want. There's mental. He held me back at my 4th dan. He held me back for 2 years, even though I met every physical requirement. He held me back for 2 years. And then the cool thing was when he did promote me, he actually backdated my certificate to the date of testing. But he held me.
Okay.
And he said, in front of everyone on the day of, like, he promoted me 2 years down the road, and he, told everyone, he's like, I did this not as a punishment, but it forced, and here's what I was hoping for. It forced Jeremy to grow beyond any expectation that I had for him. Like, I remember I was kind of devastated. I was heartbroken. I busted my butt teaching myself, and that was the period of time where I decided I want to test again. Because it had been a few years, and I really wasn't whatever, and I wanted to, and I was kind of like, I'm going to go back to the white belt mentality and go back through all of this. I went through every form, every hyung, all the way down through, trained them every day, and then tested. I put like 6 or 7 months of just testing for this, or training just for this testing in, and then in my mind, failed. But at that point, I remember I kind of sat there wallowing for a little bit and was like, When I got my tears dry, I was like, okay, you know what? Screw it. Screw the rank thing. Screw the thing. Whatever. I'm just gonna start focusing on doing better by myself, training and teaching my students. Like, I'm gonna make them better than I am. And that was my period of growth that I think I grew the most. Like, I really hunkered down on how can I be better for my students, because they look to me every night.
Well, and he wanted you. He wanted to put you in competition with yourself. Yeah. Is what it sounds like.
Yeah. So again, my ego.
Yeah.
Way up here.
Yeah.
He had to pop that pin and let it deflate a little bit. But I think in the meantime, like, it also, like, my ego switched gears into what I really should have been focusing on, was becoming a better artist and a better teacher. Not for a showmanship factor, or I can transform 80 times different ways back and forth, whatever. I just wanted to be the better teacher. And so
I also want to say, first of all, we're almost at an hour, and if it's okay, I want to keep you a little longer than an hour. Yeah. Okay. I just like to be respectful of people's time.
I appreciate it.
Now, so one of the things that I have started learning from this podcast is, as I'm talking to other people and they're telling me about history of different arts, I'm learning that there's a lot of traditional gatekeeping within different countries and the communities that the art comes from. Yeah. And then also, and I knew a little bit of the history, but I talked to a gentleman who broke down the history of Japanese arts in a way that, like, I was like, oh, okay, that clicks for my lizard brain. Well, like that Japan looked at the world stage in the 1920s and 30s and saw, oh, look what America is doing with boxing. Yeah. America's blowing up with boxing. And we have karate, which at the point in time was like the whole system. And they said, we can make judo a whole thing. And then it's just competition of throwing. We can make jiu-jitsu just grappling competition. And we can make karate just punching and kicking competition. Yeah. And that gentleman told me that, like, if you go everywhere, karate is taught in that capacity now, where they broke it up. That's how they teach it, except for Okinawa. Oh, yeah. And if you go to Okinawa, you get everything when you get karate. And he was expressing how he liked that. And then I hear you talk about Taekwondo, and like, for most seasoned martial artists, including myself, right, Taekwondo means you kind of brush a person off. Yeah. Because American Taekwondo is a watered down sport that is mostly for competition. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're wanting to do. Yeah, if
go for it.
Right. But if I'm having a conversation that is about technique or philosophy in a deeper or even in a more real world capacity, I don't want to be including competition artists in that conversation.
Right. And I hate to say it, 9 out of 10, I will say at least 9 out of 10 martial artists who do Taekwondo nowadays don't know anything other than that they do Taekwondo. They don't know that they don't know their lineage. They don't know like if they came from one of the original 9 kwans, which are the schools of Taekwondo that established and eventually unified to become the Kukiwan and the WTF and all the sport kind of side of it, and the governing bodies you see nowadays, or the ITF. It's crazy. Like, I talk to people who are masters and have schools and these kind of things. And I'll ask them like, oh, what's your lineage? Where do you come from? Because I hate to say it, if you really break it down, like even a generation ago, so my stepdad's generation of martial artists, these guys knew which school they came from. They kind of knew their master's flavor or philosophy from their school. Some places solely focused on the kicking aspect. Some of them really blended the two, like my dad did with the hand and foot to keep it kind of traditional, like Shotokan, or Kong Sudo, Korean karate. It's crazy though. I talk to these guys and they have no clue, no idea. They know that they got a certificate from Korea, and that makes it all the better. Like I'm like, okay, but do you even have you like pressure tested anything? Have you tested anything? Have you ever been in an actual fight? Do you know that your system works? I guess is what it is.
Right.
It's just mind-boggling, especially as a Taekwondo stylist, to have that view on my own peers, because it's the truth. It's crazy.
Right. Do you think that the Taekwondo that we see today comes from that same place where Korea was just trying to get to the world stage? Or do you think it comes from someplace else? And then the second part of the question is, you mentioned I wanted to be showman, and then I stopped being a showman. Do you think that there's something intrinsically in the art that sort of grooms showmanship?
I do. So the first part of it, gosh. So I'll say that with like Taekwondo today, gosh, how do I even word this?
Word it in the most offensive way possible so that we get as much Facebook hate as possible.
That works. Oh, God. And then I don't want to bash on anything or anyone ever.
Well, okay. So first, let me just inject. I have, because of the podcast, I have gotten in this organization. I am like networked with these people, Whistlekick, and I don't know if you've heard of them or not, but they have a web. Okay, well, their podcast is very long running, withstanding. Their organization has a lot of different principles, or has 6 principles. I'm going to butcher some of them. I'm not even going to say all of them. Okay. One of the principles is everybody in the world should practice martial arts for 6 months. And if everybody did that, the world would be a better place. I wholeheartedly agreed that. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, I'm in, I'm sold. Yeah. But one of the other things that they said is everybody has the right to practice for whatever reason they want to practice. True. And so I lead with that. If you want, if you want to be, my group of martial artists, we call them martial arts curators. They're almost curators to the museum. They don't ever really want to fight, but they want to learn the technique at nauseum, and they want to be able to perform it in some sort of perfection, whatever that means to them. So like when I'm having this conversation, I'm asking these questions. I'm not asking you to say showmanship is shit or start bad talking the people that are showmans. Right. It's just not for me, and I'm just trying to understand where it comes from.
Well, so I'll come back to the showmanship, because that's what gets people off. But
okay, good.
So like with the Korean side of it, I will say this: from everything I've researched and everything I've learned, talking to my seniors in every other organization possible and within my own. Korea at one point was teaching Korean karate, Taekwondo, whether it be Tangsudo, Korean karate, Kong Sudo, whatever. There was this like basically spin-off of Shotokan. And they wanted to move away from that. They wanted their own national identity in a sport, if you will, or martial art. Sure. At that point, they saw the opportunity to get into the bigger things like the Olympics, and they saw this opportunity to get behind it nationally. So it's a nationally governed aspect of it. I mean, that means they can put full support of the government behind these athletes, which is phenomenal. I think it's amazing. But it really went from martial art to martial sport very quick, but never like in technique and focus. It never said that though. And so that's part of the problem is you get these schools that are open, and these guys who are teaching, they could be my age, they could be a little bit younger, are teaching Taekwondo, and they really think that this is a martial art, but it's not. From my perspective, it's not, because we took off those pads and we didn't score points, and we didn't do the things you're doing that you see with the flags in the corner or whatever, how electronic scoring.
Right.
Let's see what you can do, and then we'll talk about a martial arts. I'll jump on that. Let's see what we can do, and I'll show you what I do versus what you do, and then we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them will never accept that. And it's crazy because for me, I grew up in an era where we accepted challenges from other schools and we fought and we
Sure.
saw who did what and who accomplished what. A lot of times these guys would join my dad's school. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He produced great fighters. But
Or if you found somebody that could best you, show me what you were working with.
So that was the other thing. We had guys who could hold their own or whatever, and they came maybe from Kempo or something like that, and they would share. So you create this relationship of like, I'm going to show you what we're doing, you show us what you're doing, and we can share, that kind of stuff. That's what it should be about. But no, I see like this shift towards sport, and let's be honest, like sport gets a lot of recognition. It's on TV. A lot of kids see it. They want to play baseball. They want to play football. They want to do it professionally and that kind of stuff. Taekwondo's given that avenue nowadays, and they go after it, and I think that's fantastic because if that's their focus is to do that, run with it, go after as far as you want. And those guys, those athletes that do Taekwondo sport are phenomenal. I'll say it flat out.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
But what bothers me is the schools that say, I teach a martial art, but no, you don't. Like, someone, like really,
it should be like martial competition or something, just different vernacular.
Best I can come up with. It's a sport that's based on martial art. What else can it be? But so many of them still really truly believe that what they're doing could hold their own in a street. No, you couldn't. So that also leads into the sports, the showmanship side of it. And when I was younger, very physically capable of pulling off 740s and things like that. And you wouldn't catch me dead in the air unless I absolutely had to nowadays. Just because I know the practicality of a real fight. Like I can pull off a head kick, even though everyone says they don't work in a real fight. Yes, they do. I can do it. Spinning kicks, I can pull them off quite effectively. But it's me just standing there and spinning. I have to throw a combination or drive you into an area that I want before I do the kick because I know how to fight.
Right.
So,
you know how to play the chess to get where you need to go. Yeah.
The show. How else are you going to drive the masses? Right. You want a big performance. You want a big show to draw people in. Right. So you get great. And this cracks me up. Like I break hard materials, ice, bricks, rocks, baseball bats. I break things that can break me back, right? Right. But you see these guys in the demonstration, and that was part of the fear. Like we'd go out and demonstrate before crowds with these, 1-inch thick, square, 12 by 12 boards, stack them up, no spacers. Now you got 5 inches worth of wood there. Try to break that with a knife hand. You don't break it from the crowd. Something might have broken in your hand. You're expected to go through it. So you better hit it a couple more times before it breaks. But that was the risk you ran. That was what my stepdad expected. There's a realism we're showing to the masses. You want to? We're not going to pre-crack a baseball bat and then super glue it back together to have you. You want to break 2 bats? I've done it, and it hurts.
Break 2 bats.
Holy crap, does it hurt? But when you're up there on stage and you're showing to the masses, you better have your skills dialed in, and it needs to be realistic. Nowadays, Taekwondo uses these wafer thin boards. That little guy, and I say this all the time in joke. I could fart on it and break it. Like it, they're just paper thin. They don't show anything, and what they only are demonstrating is their ability to do a round off back handspring into a backflip and swing their leg through a board that would break if you sneezed on it. Right. I give them all the credit in the world. I did gymnastics for like 6 months. I was terrible, but if you could do a round off back handspring into a backflip, you were awesome in my book. I'll give you all the credit in the world. But I don't know anyone who's going to be standing up there upside down with their head this way so you can catch me on the flip. So what does it show? It just shows showmanship. It shows this ability. But kids see that. And they're like, oh. And that's what they start chasing. They start chasing that tricking, that 540s and 720 spinning kicks and things like that. And it's encouraged, and they're never taught. There's a time and place that it wouldn't, and maybe it would work. You never know. Stranger things have happened, but God, it really has led to Taekwondo becoming a performance art, and I say that, and that's where I was going to say I'm probably going to get a lot of haters on that one. Taekwondo has become a performance art, even in the competitions when they do their forms. I've actually learned a few of the other style, the sport styles forms, and they have, in my mind, very little substance as far as application. I like to dissect my forms, my hyungs, break them down, really know how the combinations work, and maybe even the spin-offs or the adaptations that you can create from them. But I really don't see a whole lot of that with some of these other forms. Not saying all of them, but some of them that I've learned. So therefore, when they get out there, it's all about the most high vertical side kick that they can throw. Every movement is done metered, block, punch. Like I could keep time to it, like playing music. There needs to be a breath to it and a living aspect of it. Like when I do my forms, I'm out of breath. And I just did the first form you ever learned. But I'm giving it the same realistic block and power, the tensioning, the contraction of my muscles that you would if you were applying it against a real person. And I try to always use the term execute versus perform. I execute my techniques. I execute my form. I don't perform anything. Because if I was to do if I'm demonstrating a spinning hoe kick on a clapping pad in class, I'm going to hit that thing as hard as I was hitting a brick. That's just how I've trained. There is no middle ground. I'm not performing anything. I'm executing it. And I want my students to see when it rips out of their hand and goes flying, that they should be striving to do the same thing. Like it has to have realism. So that's where I always kind of teeter on the I might piss people off with that a little bit, but
sure.
Performance art.
Sure. I have interviewed one other Taekwondo master. I won't name drop. We won't do any of that. But I feel like both you and him have guarded lineage and are grateful for where you come from. Absolutely. And I greatly respect that. I wonder, what is Taekwondo? What does it look like in the next 50 years?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I mean, so I've seen a shift with the Kukiwon, the governing body of martial art, Taekwondo, trying to really reinvigorate, and I think they're heading in the right path. They're trying to bring back like a section of their curriculum to be focused on self-defense.
Ooh, that's good.
And it's a great concept. The execution I see in the video is not very great. There's still some things in there that are very much more like it almost looks like you're choreographing a movie fight versus a real fight. Real fights are ugly, dirty, and quick. Like there's not a 5-kick setup that you can pull off. You're not doing a double, triple roundhouse on someone when you're in a fight. It's not happening. But that's the kind of stuff I see thrown in these instructional.
Wait, they're not like the movies?
Right? Yeah. What? Yeah. As crazy as that sounds,
yeah.
But I see a trend. There's like this kind of push to get back to the traditionalism within the Taekwondo world that I've seen. A lot of people are reverting back to Kwan-focused martial arts. Where all the Kwans had originally joined together, there's a little bit more of this separation where people feel like getting back to the roots of it and having a Kwan certificate is more important to them to protect like that lineage that they come from. And not that anyone should be chasing paper, but getting back to the focus of what their school originally taught, I think is a good thing. Because like I've always said it, every Kwan or school or system of the original 9 had a different flavor. They had a different flavor because their masters trained in other places. A couple of them had trained in Shotokan, a couple of them in Shudokan, a couple of them actually trained in Chung Fan and different Chinese martial arts, and actually blended that with some other things that they had learned with karate. And it's crazy. There's really a melting pot within the original Taekwondo that it comes from. I think mine's pretty straightforward. The Samokwon Byonjuk-ro went to college in Japan and learned from Funakoshi Sensei, and he actually brought back Shotokan. And at the time of, where a 4th degree was like as high as it goes back then, I'm pretty sure that eventually he obtained his 4th degree within the Shotokan. And then started adapting and changing some of the techniques, expanding upon the kicking techniques, and eventually created what we would consider Taekwondo, kind of veered from Kong Sudo to Taekwondo. But gosh, I don't know. Where we would be in 50 years, I'll be in a wheelchair for sure. I don't know where else Taekwondo will go. Maybe I'll have a hover chair. It'll be cooler. I don't know. It's crazy. To think where it'll go. I hope the sport stays around because I think it's fantastic for those kids to have an avenue, athletes to have an avenue that is martial inspired. I'm all behind it, 100%. But don't be fooled. Don't think that it's a martial arts. You're doing a sport. I wouldn't think that football would save my life out there in the streets fighting someone. But maybe I can tackle them hard enough. You never know.
Right. You don't have to be the best fighter in the school. You just have to be better than the guy in front of you.
Exactly. I wish someone would have told me really young. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah, but like at really young, you might have been like, nah.
True. No, man. Like I said, my ego was pretty big as a kid. Like I was chasing
Yeah,
giants. Like those guys they're legends in my mind. The guys that I trained under,
sure,
just the things I saw
for
them
sure.
physically capable to do,
Hmm.
just amazing. And in my mind, like I've gotten a few compliments from them, over the years. Like we watch you, you are just every bit as good as we ever were. No, like
I, I've heard that, and I'm like,
yeah,
sure,
it'll
okay,
never click from my brain. It will never.
right,
Like it's just amazing
right.
that I see these guys and I'm like, man, those guys were just on a whole nother level. Just
Hmm.
absolutely
Hmm.
phenomenal martial artists
Hmm.
and just amazing family. They really became family.
Absolutely.
And to hear from them nowadays where they watch my videos and are like, dude, that's awesome. Like you're doing better than I could ever have done it. Bull, but I appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
All right, Jeremy. Was there anything that you didn't get to say that you'd like to say?
No, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the
No.
opportunity to sit down and chat with you. This has been fantastic.
Hmm.
It's good to put the word out there in the world, that traditional Taekwondo
Hmm.
is still around. And I
For
really
sure.
hope that maybe people will see this and be like, wow, there's a whole other side to Taekwondo I had no idea about. And that's the other
Right.
thing too is I'm gonna do a little plug. I'm actually trying to finish a book. Since I've been injured, I've been working on my book, and it's all about preserving my dad's lessons, my stepdad's lessons that
Hmm.
he passed down to me. Like I want to try to keep something, a record out there to
Do you
the
still have
masses.
his notebooks?
What's that?
You still have his notebooks?
I do actually have notes. I have so much stuff that is just there, and then up here that's just not in an
Hmm.
organized way, what shape or form. So I'm trying to get it
Hmm.
out there. I would
Okay.
say my book's probably like 80% done. It's lacking all the
Hmm.
illustrations, but that time will come where I can get back to it and doing like I've got some pictures added in there from old stuff, but
Hmm.
I'll get to that part. It's just about refining those lessons and putting them down for the masses. And whether or not you train in Samuquan style Taekwondo or just Taekwondo sport, like anyone can pick it up and learn something from it. Then I've done my
Hmm.
job. Like that's all I care about. Um, Gosh, what else? I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. It's been
Hmm.
fantastic. I can't say
No,
enough. So.
I love it. Could you want to tell everybody where they can find you? And then when the book comes out, let me
Oh my
know. I'll
gosh,
buy a copy, but it
you
has to be
got it.
signed.
I'll send you one, no problem. You can
Okay.
find me everywhere. No,
Everywhere.
I'm based in Washington State. I'm over in the Tri-Cities, southeastern Washington. It's nothing like the green side. Doesn't look like Seattle. Farm. And it's desert and sagebrush. Looks like the Wild West some days.
Desert?
Desert, high desert, Tri-Cities. Yeah, it's really weird. I actually grew up on a farm out here north of Pasco where I grew up as a kid. Just doing the work and getting smacked around by my grandpa telling me I didn't do something right. No, just joking. He's that other generation. That older generation.
That's where the ego comes into play.
That's right. No, but yeah, I'm out here in Washington State. So if anyone wants to find me, you can hunt me down here. I'm pretty easy to find.
Okay, that sounds great. I want to thank everybody that listened to this podcast. I hope you got something out of it. I want to thank Jeremy, and like I tell everybody else that has ever sat down, I also thank you for being a part of my martial arts journey, whether you like it or not. By having this conversation, you are now a part of that, and
Fantastic.
I do thank you for that so much.
Absolutely.
And everybody, keep kicking. All right.
All right.
This time of year is hard for everybody. As you can see, this is my third intro and outro with the same nappy, need a haircut, same shirt. I'm going to do 2 more. Why? Everybody has things that they have to do, and everybody has things that they want to do. You have to make time for the things that you want to do around what has to be done. It's common sense here, but what I'm saying is I could have chosen to put these off, change clothes for you all, get a haircut for you all, and have it look different so that it's maybe aesthetically pleasing, have the message land in a different way because I'm fresh or awake or rejuvenated more than I currently am. But if I did that, I risked falling short. I risked it not happening because I didn't have enough time to make it happen. So to combat that, I am doing the thing. I'm holding myself accountable and doing the work. I think that's important. Make the time and show up for yourself. There's not a muscle that can be honed to the point to where it never has to be exercised, yet it will motivate you constantly. That muscle of motivation has to be worked out daily, sometimes hourly, sometimes minutes by minutes. It has to be worked out because it has to maintain the strength to keep us moving forward. If you're a martial artist and would like to be a part of this podcast, if you know a martial artist that you think would be good for this podcast, if you have seen anything that I have said or posted and thought that it was wrong and would like to have a conversation with me about that, Discord is also welcome. keepkickingpod@gmail.com. Or find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, find me on TikTok, send me a message. Let's have these conversations. As always, keep kicking.